Hi guys, how are you?
Hi.
You're right.
Hi.
So to start, it's already fun when you kind of dive into these histories that people don't know or they don't know the full story, but when you do one like this that is kind of so outlandish and so like kind of over the top in a very fun way, what for you guys was the excitement of a show like Mary and George and getting to kind of be behind the scenes on it?
I mean, so much. I mean, getting to work with Julianne Moore is a privilege and an honor. And even just the first screen test of her, when they were testing the cameras, testing makeup and everything else, that was a real holy shit moment, if I can swear with you, if
Yes,
that's
go
okay.
for it.
I honestly was a real, oh my God, we've got Julianne Moore, even though we'd known that she'd been attached for like a year and a half before we started filming. But yeah, and getting to see what she would do the part. But also similarly with Nick, in the writing, George is quite an enigmatic character, quite hard to grip. The real George in history was this extraordinary guy, the sort of person who would enter a room and everyone would look at them. And then, his sort of arc is getting too much power too young. And that's quite a hard thing to track. And I think watching Nick bring that to life has been really beautiful.
Mm.
And I think he tracks the chains across the show. Um, it was a 6 month shoot, 5, 6 months. And I think I think he learned so much about the character, and we all learned so much about the show. And you can see that as it develops, that the complexity of it deepens as we get further into the story. So that was extraordinary.
And
Watching it
obviously
change.
Tony as well, his
Yeah,
nuanced performance of
yeah,
the king is so
Mhm.
extraordinary. And I think people haven't really seen what he can do. He's such an incredible actor. And I think you start off thinking he's a slightly flamboyant, lascivious king, but actually you really feel for him. I think in some ways he's the heart of the show, and
yeah,
he's the character that we're most sympathetic towards
yeah.
because he's being manipulated by these people.
Have
And
you seen all of it or just the first one?
I've seen them all.
Yeah, so the moment in episode 6, his conversation with George about love and it's like a liquid in your fingers.
Yeah.
That was a real for me. Oh well, we've got there, we've done it, we've done exactly what we wanted to do. So seeing that, we read this book 6, 7 years ago, the book that we were inspired by to find this story. And we'd already had a sort of plan to really be an examination of love. But after all that work and all those years of putting it together, to see Tony and Nick bring it to life in that way was phenomenal. Yeah, really phenomenal.
Yeah, and what do you guys think it is about? It's weird to call it a genre because it's not necessarily a genre, but there is those specific like histories that like we're aware as the audience, like this maybe happened this way, but it is also like we're looking at it from a different, like more modern lens. What do you think it is about those kind of shows and those stories that really just resonate with audiences and make us so excited to kind of dive into history in that way?
I mean, I think we were just talking about that because we originally were saying it's about putting female characters and queer characters at the
Mhm.
back at the center of the narrative. But I think what we're doing actually is they were at the center of the narrative, and it's
Yeah.
been airbrushed out by, straight male historians who haven't wanted to acknowledge that James's court was based around his lust and love of men. And I think that's really interesting to look at that, look back 400 years. And
I'm going to swear again, if that's okay.
Go
So,
for it.
so he was George became the Duke of Buckingham, which was an incredible honor. It was created for him. He was known colloquially at the time as the Duke of Fuckingham. So people in taverns at the time would be singing that song, and maybe some of them would be saying that in a judgmental way. But there was obviously also a playful sense of here's this guy in the King's Court. He fucks everyone. We'll call him the Duke of Fuckingham, right? And I feel like I've said this a few times, but if an illiterate baker can sing a song in a tavern in 1600s London about it, maybe you should be able to accept it. But if you read the history books, honestly, until like the early 2000s, most historians are very uncomfortable talking about it. And there's always a yes, but we can't prove it. We can't be sure. And you like read the letters, read the evidence. There's so much. There's so much that so the letters between them talking about her, being in bed together, um,
how he was
um,
his wife.
how he was his wife, the songs Duke of Fuckingham, like all of it, and also the fact that one of my favorite things there was he would kiss and fondle men in his court, right? And the
Mhm.
one English guy was like, well, if he's doing that in public, there's no way he's doing anything behind closed doors because he wouldn't want to draw attention to it. And you're like, that is amazing logic, buddy. And I
Sure,
feel
buddy.
like, and depressingly, a lot of historians and a lot of people who have been at the forefront of presenting what this age is to us have had that mindset of,
Mhm.
well, it can't, nothing could have been going on behind closed doors.
Mm.
And I think it's wrong. So yeah, we wanted to be honest about it. So we're not, we haven't got a woke progressive agenda to push this into the story.
Mm.
It is the story. Like it happened, and that's the story we want to tell.
Yeah, and I love it. I can't wait for people to get to see it because I 100% agree with you. And I love getting to see these stories that are, actually based on things that happen and not kind of sugar coated for us. But thank you guys for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
No,
And I can't
thank you.
wait for people to get to see the show.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks
Nice
very
to
much.
meet you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Have a great one.